Yo, what's going on, people? Part 3 of this mega series on just one article, but it was a huge article, so yeah, and there was a lot to discuss while reading it. So yeah, let me just double check if my sound is coming through on the other end. Okay, cool. Yeah, without further ado, because it could be long. Let me just make sure. Where did we leave off? Bum 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 bum. I believe. Dun, 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 dun. Biden and the Fed leave 1970s inflation sphere behind. This is it. Here we go. Can you see that? Hopefully you can. So this is the New York Times, 15 February 2021. As President Biden presses ahead with plans for 1.9 trillion stimmy pack, he and his top economic advisors are brushing those warnings aside. As is the Fed chair under Jerome H. Powell. After years of dying, well, see, their CPI numbers always don't show anything, but everything else is, going up nominally, yeah, in the US dollar numbers, yeah. After years of dire inflation predictions that failed to pan out, so they massage those CPI numbers down to give them an excuse to do this, their societal change programs. The people who run fiscal and monetary policy in Washington have decided that the risk of overheating the economy is much lower than the risk of failing to heat it up enough. They never let, in nature you have spring, summer, fall, winter, right? It's hottest in the summertime. Well, it's supposed to be. It's cold in the UK today, as again. But then you have a few months in winter to kind of let your earth, nature, farmland regenerate itself, kill off bacteria, etc. If you just have endless summer, I guess the rainforest is an example of endless summer. But do you want to live in the rainforest? Yeah, not too sure about that. Or do you want to live in a place with seasons where it gets cold occasionally? I don't know. Why can't the economy have a couple of years off? People just chill out. In Europe back in the day, all the workers in France, for example, will take a month off of August, once a month, once a year, plus many other long national holidays. It's more of a natural way of being in some of these older European countries. Work weeks are 32, 33, 44 hours, and you Americans will be like, what? Yeah, that's true. And you Asians who work 6/12s and be like, what? Yeah, you guys work 3-4 times longer than a lot of the Europeans. And even Germans, they take the month off August, I believe. Yeah, because that's when your kids are off, right? It's summer. So why not enjoy some family time? I've been in crypto for a few years now, and it's been 7 days a week, right? Even when I was working, you're working during the day, and then at night you're putting 3-4 hours of research in, you're putting maybe 2-3 hours of trading in, and then you might get a meal, have a beer, go to sleep, and 3-4 hours of sleep max, and then go off to work again. That was kind of my life for a while. Yeah. So this for me is easy. Like, it may seem like I'm working a lot, but I've hardly spent any time on my computer today. But I did miss out on a nap just now. I was having a nap, and then it mistakenly turned on YouTube and saw Hex Asians were streaming, so might as well hop in. Anyway, okay, this is fresh stuff. Fresh Arthur Hayes. So QE for the people. Now, Powell says the economy still needs Fed support, pushes back on inflation worries. Why are you worrying about inflation? Let us do our thing, Powell says. 23rd Feb 2021. Here we go. This is words straight from his mouth. Monetary policy is accommodative and it continues to need to be accommodative. Expect us to move carefully, patiently, and with a lot of advance warning. Before any changes, Powell said in response to questions from Republican lawmakers, maybe there's a few fiscal conservatives left, about whether a faster than expected recovery still required crisis-level assistance. Powell, who was testifying before the US Senate Banking Committee, acknowledged the potentially fast growth to come. It's going to be hot, baby, as the coronavirus eases and vaccinations expand. I saw a number today, I think there's like 6,000 cases in America of people getting COVID even after getting 2 shots. Because that makes sense to me as a ex-science guy, because if they made and designed these vaccines last summer, they're going off the variant that is almost 2 years old. It went through 2 flu seasons, so it's not effect. You're getting the vax shots now, right? Second doses from the old bug, right? So if you're thinking on getting it, you may as well wait to. You got to know which type of vaccine it is, which edition, like edition 1, 2, 3, and get the latest one, right? And to be honest, if you're going to get a vaccine, you should be getting the Chinese one, the Sinovac, because they designed the first one, right? The actual virus, so the vaccine should be spot on. I bet I'm going to pull up the numbers for the China cases. I bet it's like less than 5,000-6,000 out of the population of 1.34 billion. I bet there's like 0 deaths in the last few months. I can guarantee it. I know everything. Yep. Powell, who was testifying, okay. Coming updates to the Fed outlook may show the economy expanding in the range of 6% this year. Did the first GDP already come in? It must have, innit? What was that? 7, 8? I don't know. Wuhan was 60%. Yeah, that's true. And the area around it was also 60%. So they do their GDP by city and region because the economic zones are so large. Imagine like a city like, I don't know, Philly or Chicago having to come up with their own GDP number. That's nationally recognized. Detroit used to be its own economic country, right? INC, Motor City. I think it's Rust Belt, isn't it? Now, is that by design? Yeah, leverage buyouts. Remember back in the 80s, Gordon Gekko. They take over a good company, employing local people, and just get free money, buy it out, gut the contents, and call it a day. LBOs. Isn't everything a leverage buyout these days? Yeah, pretty much. Everything US dollar denominated, as Arthur was saying, is a leverage buyout. Whoa, Balaji just threw a bomb at you. Such a rebound would have been unthinkable even a few weeks ago, but the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines coupled with federal fiscal support that has bolstered household income has boosted the economic outlook for the year. When asked what his message was to financial markets, Powell did not talk about the risk of rising bond yields or a possible spike in inflation, but roughly 10 million jobs still missing compared to a year ago. Another excuse to print. And the need for the US central bank. How are they going to get the jobs back when the jobs are gone? Offices are still closed. Factories still shipped out decades ago. So they have to bring something back to USA, right? I don't know what. I think it's going to be high tech. high-paying jobs. Maybe I think SoCal could be a big center of economic activity just because of Tesla. Texas should be. Well, I think it's never had a recession, right? Not really. Like Texas is kind of like Australia in the United States, right? Ish. That's how I kind of equate to it. Big landmass. Used to be pretty free. Australia is kind of weird now, especially the cities. I've been to Oz a long time ago. It was so free. It was like literally like you see guys just rolling down the street, like two guys in a pickup truck, like just openly drinking, just throwing beers out on the highway. It's pretty brilliant because it's it's pretty open, right? In some places, pretty remote. So it's like, hey, I ain't gonna hit anyone. Maybe hit a kangaroo. And Australians do this weird thing. It's kind of popular now, but back in the day, I never saw it before. They'll have Jack Daniels and Coke pre-mixed in the can, this was 15 years ago. So yeah, Aussies, bit drunkards like the Brits, because they are kind of tanned Brits, aren't they? Tanned convict Brits, anyway. But of the roughly 10 million jobs still missing compared to a year ago. Here we go. Here's Arthur. Here's Arthur's take. This is the most important thing on these blogs. What does Arthur say? Nominal GDP is going to be lit. We are going to keep pushing on until we get to full employment. What's full employment? Because the employment number and total workforce number has gone from like, was it 70 to like down 62? So that 10 million is actually like 20 million or 30 million. It depends on what timeline you capture. What's full employment? Well, we will know when we see it. Inflation, nothing to see here. Money pretty good. All right. So read the statements. In addition, the Federal Reserve will continue to increase the holdings of Treasury. The combine more bonds. We mentioned this, I think. 80 billion per month. This is what they did during first QE, right? I think 80 billion was the exact number. Was QE 200? Then they increased it, and people were like, what are you guys doing? When people were still questioning the Fed, right? And plus mortgage-backed securities by at least 40 billion. That's 120 right there. 120 bill a month is about $1.5 billion. No, 1.5 trillion a year of Fed expanding balance sheet. I think it's at 8 trillion now. So 9.5 in a year, 11, 13.5, 15. Yeah, you kind of get the idea. These asset purchases help foster smooth market functioning. What is smooth market functioning when it's going vertical? Lumber like 10x or something. Yeah, good luck on a new build house. It's gonna be like double an old house. And accommodative financial conditions, therefore supporting the flow of credit. It's always flow of credit to households. It never gets to the households and businesses. But now we've got air jobs, helicopter money. Here we go. Arthur. The Fed will buy $120 billion a month of bonds, as Janet Jackson says. Janet Jackson said, "What have you done for me lately?" It's like you bought 120 last month, but how about this month? How about next month? Here we go. February. 180, 100, 189. They're telling you what they're doing, but they're like actually doing more. 59 over, 21 under, so that's okay. 40 plus 69 over. April monthly run rate. So that was maybe it was a spike. I don't know. 107 over. $500 billion in 3 months. That's gonna be like, so what? $2 trillion in 2021, roughly. put above chart, the Fed is buying 30% more bonds than it should be. Could it be that Fed is stealthily targeting bond yields? That is important because it means that the Fed is implicitly expanding their balance sheet to whatever level is needed to lower borrowing costs for the Treasury as it spends money to achieve the White House societal goals. Yes. Societal goals must be met. Biden's stimulus plan will sharply cut poverty, okay, and hand out large amounts of cash to families. I mean, if you're in need, literally on bread lines, you need cash. Buying bonds is not going to help you, is it? Trickle down stuff never works. Rich people are just like, screw you, poor people. I'm just going to buy more stuff for me. Nutty. Like, how do you get the money into people that need it the most? I don't know. How do you create an economic environment where the poor people don't need handouts? They can fend for themselves, earn for themselves, have the courage and power to do that. It's not what Biden's doing or Obama did, or, I'm not a big fan of lefty policies because they don't have long-term positive impacts. Unless the impact you want is what they are doing, which it seems to be true. Red takeover, debt through debt. I'm going to show you a chart. It's quite amazing. I think it's through Statista, and it shows you just in 20 years, like the indebtedness of like consumers, companies per state, and it shows the timeline 20 years, like low debt to high debts, and it's just incredible. And that's in 20 years. During 3 economic crises which were created to like just cut you at your knees. When was the last time China had a recession? I mean, it basically shut down these factories for 2-3 months and then open them up and open up the country sharpish, right? So that's how they can post 60% GDP over that first quarter. First quarter, they shut things down, right? But it wasn't for the entire 3 months. I believe by March last year, they were already opening up. So we are yet to open up here in the UK, right? It's going to be end of June. It's going to be maybe a stop-start affair. So it might be open for middle of June, July, and then August. And they may do a shut down one city here, there, one town here and there. Yeah. Just to keep you guys on your back toes, back toes on your heels. Okay. Handing out cash to families. Have I got any tea? A little sweet left. Cold. Biden's stimulus package, which passed the Senate on Saturday, okay, it's about a month ago, 2 months ago, represents one of the most generous expansions of aid to poor in recent history. What a man. What a guy. While also showering thousands, or in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars on American families navigating the coronavirus planned scamdemic. If you guys don't know what this coronavirus pandemic is really about, then this blog article, what Arthur Hayes has wrote, must surely provoke something in your brain, no? So I already knew what it was before it happened. It was economic warfare. All right. Shifting the economic power base from USA to China. That's all it was. And it's all gone to plan. It's all been successful. So now, if you want your country to recover properly, you're going to have to bow down and kiss knees, rings of Xi, and whatever else he asks you to kiss, Otherwise, you're going to be left in the economic wilderness. So that was why Trump was set up as the fall guy. You know, he was like, because what was his entire thing? You know, make America great, keep America great. And that is not allowed in this China's decade. You had your 80-year rule. Now it's China's time to rule for 80 years. And what will be after that? I don't know. Maybe Elon Musk on Mars will have that century in 2100. Right? We will definitely be multi-planetary species before 2050, right? Way before 2050. Yeah. Is that a good thing? Bad thing? I don't know. Elon Musk will own a planet. Imagine that. So if you flew to Mars and put down a flag, do you not own that planet? You staked your claim. As in the pioneers of Americans 150 years ago who went out west, they made their stakes, put down their flags on a piece of the land, and they owned it. Right? The roughly 1.9 trillion, so the richest guy in the world, will be owning a planet. Roughly 1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which only Democrats supported, spends most of the money on low-income and middle-class Americans and state and local governments, with very little funding going towards companies. The plan is one of the largest federal responses to a downturn Congress has enacted, and economists estimate it will boost growth this year to the highest level in decades and reduce the number of Americans living in poverty by a third. How much are you guys getting out there? I've asked this, but no idea. Is it? You got $1,200 last March as a stim. Are you going to get $1,200 every month now? Who can politically oppose helping poor people and jacking up financial asset prices? No one. Just like on Oprah, everybody gets goodies. Hell yeah. I think it was like a Pontiac G6, right? Probably worthless now. You got a free car. That wasn't that long ago. 2004. Yeah, they're definitely worthless. Most of them will be like cash for clunkers, right? Pontiacs. They don't last that long. 7 years tops. Yeah, so Oprah gave them away. Obama crushed them. Brilliant stuff. And I think he got paid to get it crushed. Wow, this is amazing stuff you guys are doing in America. Never been seen before. Most indebted country, but also most giving country. Biden's New Deal re-engineering America quickly. Axios, 3rd of March 2021. I'm going to take off my jumper, getting hot. Excuse me. Biden recently held an undisclosed East Room session with historians that included discussions how big is too big and how fast is too fast to jam through once-in-a-lifetime historic changes to America. Translation: huge fiscal stimulus is coming. Trillions upon trillions will be spent in order to right the past wrongs, prepare for climate change, and rebuild America's decrepit public infrastructure. How will we pay for it? That's the Treasury and Fed's problem. Fed Powell's level of debt today is not unsustainable. No question of US being able to service its debts right now. Oh, speak of the devil. Powell, don't think we would ever sell bonds into the market. So they buy them and hodl. Poker player who never folds must have the best cards. Or an inexhaustible supply of money. What do you think? Yes, it's time we invest in the future of America once again. Investing in your country should be ongoing annual thing, right? There should be major projects, construction projects on infrastructure, like planned out for every 15 years. 5 years of planning, 10 years of construction, then they start again. 5 years of planning, 10 years of construction, start again. Ongoing, continuous, never stopping. Last good big thing you did was the interstate highways in 1950s, right? To suburbanize a agricultural nation. So you went from ag-based to suburban-based. Now you're going to high-tech city-based. So all these offices will be turned into pods. Millennials will be living in pods, streaming, TikToking from the comfort of their own little pod in the sky. Ready Player One. Ready Player One in action. Game started. The game has started. Never stopped. Translation: how does the government invest when it runs a deficit? It borrows more money in order to spend it. This is the last one. No, I actually don't know what he's been tweeting because I'm off Twitter. I would never follow him anyway, but it's still kind of cool. Here's the deal: Wall Street didn't build this country. The great American middle class did. Yeah, of course they did. Yeah, that's true. It's time we rebuild the middle class and bring everyone along, regardless of race, gender, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or disability. Okay. Why not just say, let's rebuild the middle class? Why not just say, let's get the poor people into the middle class? Let's get the middle class into the upper middle class, and let's get the upper middle class into the wealthy class. If I was Prezi. And that, what I just said, should be ongoing. The reason why there was net immigration into America was that was the only place that had a middle class for decades. I grew up in a country where there was no middle class. It was just either normal or rich, upper class kind of thing. You know, you either went to you either had old money and you went to the right schools, or you just were like everyone else. There was like very different, no really many levels of economic stratification. It was just everyone was kind of on the same kind of footing. It's not the case now. Not the case now. Yep. Different times indeed. I never met a gay person in England, ever. Then I left, and I came back. I saw rainbows everywhere. I was like, what? What's going on? I don't know. It's 2010, and you're a member of the great American middle class. Your home is now worth a fraction of what you paid for. But you still had to pay every cent of your mortgage. Oh, this is, post-GFC. But you still had to pay every cent on your mortgage, credit card bill, and or student loan. Meanwhile, the big banks got bailed out. Globally, senior management stays put, and equity holders kept their shares. There were no bankruptcies. How do you like those apples? Okay, this is 10 years later. Fast forward to 2020 and COVID hits. Asset holders are worried about what inflationary spending policies could do to large bond portfolios and other assets. Do you care? Fuck that. Give me the stimmy check, cancel my student loan, and make sure there are more good paying manufacturing jobs. If you don't listen, I will find someone who will in 2020. Best believe the White House knows what time it is. The money printer is going, I've got to dial that in. Can I dial that in? Yep, there you go. That's better. For the great American middle class, if you hold financial assets, you better find the correct rock to hide under. Ooh, it's coming through stocks. That's what Arthur's saying. It's coming for your bonds. It's coming for your stocks. It's coming for your wife. Who's giving your wife stimmies. Incredible. Print in all circumstances. Economic canon. Is anyone watching? Nah. Just in case some people's on chat. Economic canon holds that. Okay, let's do this again. Print in all circumstances. Economic canon holds that when inflation, as defined by the government, gets to a unacceptable level, the central bank will tighten money supply by raising rates. They can raise their short maturity policy rate rate, and they can raise long-term rates by selling government bonds. As I argued in Pumping Iron, if real rates actually rise, Bitcoin, crypto, and all other financial assets will plummet. Ooh. Therefore, the risk to my long-term bullish outlook is that in response to inevitable inflation, the Fed and other central banks will reduce the size of the balance sheet. That's the risk of holding crypto and Bitcoin, right? Rates going up. Scenario 1. So is Arthur Hazel worried? No, that's just highlighting the risk of his position, of his holding. That's good, smart man. The US, which runs the world's largest deficit in absolute terms. What was Paul Powell's portfolio? When he first came on the scene, he was like gold, USD, bonds, and Bitcoin. He said just 4 things for the next few years. I bet it's changed now. Did he go 96% Bitcoin? I don't know. Did he have some ETH? Did he have some Aave and Compound? I don't know. I haven't watched that dude in a long time. I like him, but he's running a business, so the more attention I give him, is it really helping me? The US, which runs the world's largest deficit in absolute terms, is so it imports more than it exports, right? You export your dollars, you get back. This is crazy. You export your dollar to buy Chinese goods, and the Chinese people or the government CCP takes your dollar and converts it into 7-1 because it's pegged, right? Is that how it works? How do you guys pay for Chinese goods? Is it through treasury notes? No, that can't be right because they only hold $1 trillion. Yeah, but you don't send actual US dollars over there. I'm confused a little bit on the commercial, the pipeline, how it actually works. Well, I never actually dug into it properly. The Fed continues to expand the balance sheet in their quixotic quest to achieve 2% core PC price inflation, core price consumer expectation inflation. That's the measurement. But don't worry if your smashed Avo toast costs 30% more year on year, as that's not inflation. Yeah, your $10 Avo on toast costs $12-13 now, isn't it? I consider it completely unimportant who in the party will vote or how, but what is extraordinarily important is this: who will count the votes and how. Oh, Joseph Stalin's, Joseph Biden's. There's no general disagreement with how the Fed will respond in this scenario. No inflation. Yeah, if there's no inflation, they're going to print. Right. The US achieves all of its policy goals and stops fiscally stimulating the economy, even though there is no negative inflationary impact. If I ate cake for every meal, get all my nutrients, and have a six-pack, would I stop eating cake for every meal? No. So why would you stop handing out goodies to your constituents if there are no consequences? If you don't hand them out, they will elect someone who will. There's no way any government will stop handing out free shit if there's no cost to it. It is therefore highly unlikely that the US government will turn off the tap once the population receives consistent support. By the way, in the span of 12 months, the general US population has received free stimulus checks per eligible person. Have you? There will be a fourth and a fifth ad infinitum. QE forever. QE infinity. We've been talking about this for decades. It's here now. Scenario 3, inflation as defined by the Fed runs hot. What happens? The market consensus is that the Fed will become less accommodative. I disagree. If inflation runs hot, okay, yeah, you genuinely think they're going to taper, right? Remember that tapering? The taper tantrums? I disagree. Let's see how the Fed's central banking counterparts recently dealt with accelerating inflation in their respective economies. I often look at other central banks. Yeah, that's a good idea. Japan, Europe, UK, Canada, right? They're all connected, right? The actions of the Fed, because one high clergy all subscribe to the same economic dogma. They go to the same university, publish papers on the same topics, and use the same frameworks of models to describe macroeconomic behavior. Let's first turn to the Reserve Bank of Australia. They are playing the yield curve control game. They set a target. In this case, they want a 3-year government bond yield to be 0.1%. If the yield is too low, 3-year government bond, that's basically zero. If the yield is too low, they sell bonds. If the yield is too high, they buy bonds. Okay, I get it. This is the yield curve. It's kind of odd looking. All this short term, this is manipulated. This is the central bank keeping it pegged down. Because if they let it rise, it would be like 1 dot here, 2 dot here, 3 dot here, 4 dot, 5 dot, 6, 7. That's a more natural curve. So this is artificial, well, not artificial. Their interactions, interjections, right? So they're keeping it down. So they're buying, right? Yeah, they don't want it up here, so they buy bonds on the short end. Currently, the 3-year yield is approximately 0.2% above their 0.1 target. To maintain their target, they must expand their balance sheet by purchasing more bonds. As you can see, this rate appears to be artificially low, yeah, because when the market is left to itself at the longer end, yields are materially higher. Rising global yields may push RBA to defend 3-year yield target. 10-year yields come. The move underscores challenge and was trying to keep bond quite slow. Global vaccination programs and talk of another commodities super cycle put Australia at the forefront of bets for rebounding growth and rising prices, making the RBA's job particularly difficult, but is unlikely to be unique. Here we go, Arthur. This shows that dilemma faced by all central banks. Do they serve bondholders by fighting inflation, via reducing their balance sheet and raising rates, or do they serve the government by increasing their balance sheet and lowering rates? The RBA has obviously chosen to help lower the government's financing costs. The ECB has also chosen lowering government financing costs over fighting inflation. Professor, look at this dude, Richard A. Werner. Professor Werner. ECB says the present inflation is due to special one-off factors, so the ECB needs to respond to this inflation by printing more money. Makes sense. Isabel Schnabel. Oh, she could be like a economic academic. However, inflation is currently rising on the back of many one-off effects, like base effects in oil prices and the VAT. Oh, they rose taxes on you guys in Germany. VAT rise in Germany. Our projections show that the rate of inflation will ease again in 2022. Don't worry, it's just temporary because aggregate demand will presumably remain weak. 3 to 14? No, 3 or 14. It's a tweet thread. She's a talky girl, Isabel Schnabel. ECB signals faster money printing to combat rising yields. ECB signals faster money printing to combat rising yields. Yeah, they're trying to do what Australia did, right? Push it down, so have to buy. ECB said on Thursday it would accelerate money printing to keep a lid on Eurozone borrowing costs, signaling into skeptical markets that it is determined to lay the foundation for a solid economic recovery. Recover to what? I've said this many times now. Eurozone for the last 25 years has been rock bottom, the worst in the world for economic growth. Zeros. Most of it has been, every year has been like 0.2 positive, minus 0.2. Yeah, keep it up. Concerned that a rise in bond yields could derail the recovery across the 19 countries that share the euro. Poor people that share the euro. Unless you're Germany, I guess. Or France, I guess. Maybe. Even France. I don't think it helps them. It kind of does, but not really. The ECB said it would use its 1.85 trillion. Amazing how it's almost exactly as 1.9 trillion pandemic emergency purchase program, PEP program. Oh yeah, pandemic emergency purchase program. The emergency that will never end. It's gonna be decades of this stuff. At least a decade, 7-8 years. More generously over the coming months to stop any unwanted rise in debt financing costs. Side note. Oh, Professor Werner is a god. Please watch or read Princess of... Oh, you wrote that. I watched that. Please watch or read Princess of the Yen. He coined the term quantitative easing. Sorry, I'm sleep deprived, undercaffeinated. Is the Fed going to write the New Testament in the central banking Bible, or will they uphold the old-time religion? All currencies flow against each other with no harmony anchor. Yeah, so all of it's irrelevant. They can just keep on doing it. Consider the following. All advanced economic federal governments are committed to aggressive fiscal spending to re-energize the middle class after the ravages of COVID. The government will sell bonds to finance spending rather than raising taxes too aggressively at a certain levels. Raising taxes has a drag at a certain level, at every level. Imagine if they did the year of zero tax, 2021, from whenever your country opens up, say England this July, 1 year, zero tax. That's all you need to do. There's your economic recovery and boom. Doesn't cost a penny. Yeah. The government will sell bonds to finance spending rather than raising taxes. At a certain level, raising taxes, yeah. Laffer curve, that's the only one for me. And it's very unpopular. Take a look at the Laffer curve. It is much easier politically to print money. Why can't they have a tax jubilee for 1 year and cover up the government's finance? Tell the politicos to take a year off, unpaid, right? Go back to your local communities you're supposed to be serving, do some volunteer work, right? If you've got a mortgage with a bank on your house, you politicians, we will tell the banks we will give you a mortgage holiday for you. Go out, plant some trees, talk to the people. No, they don't do that, do they? It is much easier politically to print money and spend it into the economy. Yeah. Okay, this is a long thread by Arthur. The central bank will support the... How much have I got left of this? 40 minutes. Let's get it done now, please. I don't want to do part 4. The central bank will support the government by expanding their balance sheet to buy bonds in order to reduce borrowing costs. The central bank will support the government. Yep. You can't have all these social programs and societal change goals, which cost a lot of money, if the interest rate government has to pay is too high. So the central banks which are supposed to be independent of the government, are like literally joined at the hip or joined at the human centipede. Ugh, gross. A weaker currency helps your export sector. Yeah. A weaker, yeah. Increasing the supply of a thing reduces the price of a thing. Yeah. Oh, they're trying to stimulate exports. Who exports though? Well, Germany, Japan, China. That's about it, isn't it? And who's the net exporter in the global economy? South Korea? struggling to think of many others. 4 countries? You have to look that up. That'd be interesting. In conclusion, if everyone else is debasing, so if there's only a few handful of countries that are net exporters, they should have crappy weak currencies. And then the countries that are net importers should try to strive for a strong currency. Maybe a blockchain, Bitcoin exchangeability or something. I don't know. In conclusion, if everyone else is debasing their currencies to stimulate the domestic economy, you must do it too. If you don't, your currency will appreciate in value and it hurts your export sector. The Fed doesn't have a choice. It must expand its balance sheet, even if yields rise. More importantly, the process is reflexive. It just kind of feeds on itself. The more the Fed prints, the more the private bondholders will sell into the Fed because of inflation fears. The more the Fed has to print to keep borrowing cost management for the government. Separately, check out Lords of Finance for some additional context on historical central banking and monetary policy. It describes how the Fed, Bank of England, Banque de France, and Reich Bank governors interacted with each other between World War I and World War II. Complicito. I'm going to take a wee break. Should I pause the video? I'm at the end now. Okay. One last push. Here we go. Grow up or blow up. Have no price target for Bitcoin. I only care about the size of the Fed balance sheet. Wow, this is beautiful stuff. Here we go. This is the meat. All this to say he doesn't care. He'll buy Bitcoin ad infinitum, right? Is he just talking his own book? You decide. You decide if this billionaire is just talking his own book or giving you actionable advice here. I only care about the size of the Fed's balance sheet. The Fed must stand ready to buy what the Treasury is selling. Otherwise, the reorientation of the US economy from capital to labor cannot happen. That is the end state. Between now and then, there will be intense volatility as the market, for the first time in a generation, experiences real, persistent, and government-mandated inflation. Michael Saylor said it's 1% a month now, the inflation, the CPI, being taken from your USD, or whatever fiat you're holding, 1% a month. This is important. So this is why I stream. You know, regular people are just so clueless. Regular people think their pounds are money, right? Most market participants simply have no mental model for how to deal with this scenario. Even the guys in suits on Wall Street are just confused though. That's why you need guys like Arthur to break shit down simply, because even though he's discusses a lot of complex, ideas and mechanics of the financial system, he would also say, like, break it down, QE for the people forever, inflation forever, right? Okay. Where are we? In addition, the exponential transformational network effects of technology intersect with the coming period of aggressive fiat monetary expansion. Humans are linear thinkers. Yeah, that's true. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. They can't go from 1 step to 10 step. Not most people. Who extrapolate a known past into an unknown future at constant rate. Future doesn't play out like that. It's major shifts every 20, 30, 50 years, right? every generation. It's normally about 50 years. It's 50, 60. There's a like conjugate life cycle to econ. I think we're in the winter period during the global solar minimum, grand solar minimum. It's all lining up, right? Financial reset, temperatures are freezing in northern hemisphere. I've got the heat on right now. It's May. Heat is working. Investors who possess an active imagination that depicts a future not seen before will be able to appreciate, and that's the thing with investing. It's the whole job is to trying to peer into the future. How many years can you look into the future? Can you look on an hourly chart, next 2 hours? Can you look into the next year, 18 months? Can you look in the next 10 years? That's what makes investing so hard, right? Okay. Active imagination that depicts a future not seen before will be able to appreciate an inflation period where Bitcoin crypto is the release valve. Yeah. The charts clearly show that equities, real estate, and even gold failed to protect the value of investors' capital in the face of aggressive central bank balance sheet expansion. If they couldn't do in 2008, what hope is there for overall financial market outperformance in the Roaring 20s? I've been calling for Roaring 20s as well. Roaring 20s. Yeah. Yeah, me and Arthur. Same wavelength. He's just got more numbers behind him on his account. Like a few more, like way more. Do not be beguiled by the siren song of nominal price appreciation. At all times, you must deflate a nominal returns by the amount of new money in the domestic system, right? Don't be fooled by your Dogecoin pumping or GameStop pumping. At all times, you must deflate nominal returns by the amount of new money in the domestic system. Only then will winners and losers be as clear as double-boiled abalone fish mauled chicken soup. That must be his favorite dish. Wow. Just pure gold. But you could all basically just look at the charts and read this last bit. I wasted 3 hours of your time, but have I? You probably spent most of the day writing this, so you've got to appreciate when somebody goes to this length of time to share with you for free. Appreciate Arthur. Yeah, good on you. All right, that's the end. I guess till the next Arthur's blog post. Peace, y'all. Cheers. Biology.